Welcome to South Luangwa National Park in Zambia. And this park is centered on the Luangwa River, which is a major river and tributary of the Zambezi River. And the Luangwa River and its watershed pretty much drains all of northeastern Zambia, extending all the way, from Tanzania and Malawi, draining all the way down into the southern part of Zambia. And as you can see, it's a major river, which is quite low this time of year. But you can imagine during the rainy season that this would be flowing with water bank full. And now the river is much reduced because we're in the middle of the dry season right now. Alright, more to come. Bye. Hello, hippos. Okay, I think we'll let these guys go back to sleep. Cheers. Oh, well, maybe they're going to go back in the water. Sorry guys, they just had enough, too much of me watching them. Decided to get back in the water. Right, bye. Didn't mean to startle these guys. Came out driving along the edge of the river here. Came out to the edge of this cut bank to take a picture, and lo and behold, right below me was this pod of 20 or 30 hippos, which I inadvertently disturbed. And they all decided to, as you saw, jump back in the river. Okay, here's a typical landscape scene in the Luangwa River Valley floodplain, showing this basically open grassland savanna. So scattered trees with a grassy understory. And much of the floodplain close to the river is like this, although there are lots of pans. There's depressional areas that collect water, and sloughs and oxbows and things like that that still have pools of water, and then some of the denser riparian forest as well. But a lot of it is this kind of open grassland savanna. Okay, cheers. Here's one of the common inhabitants of this open grassland savanna floodplain. But not huge herds of zebra, just small groups of 2, 3, half dozen, up to a dozen or so. But found pretty much throughout this floodplain savanna. Came across these lions this morning. I only see 3. It looks like Mama back there on her back is having a good snooze. And then there's 2 cubs. You can see all the spotting on this one's belly and legs. And the other one is sprawled out here, snoozing. You can see how big her belly is right now, so these lions are very well fed. And actually I'm hearing more lions kind of moving around in the brush in the back there. So there's more than these 3 that we can see. There's a few more laying down in the brush. But clearly they were successful hunting last night. And they'll probably be sleeping here all day. Alright, cheers. Oh, this little guy has decided to move up and get a little more shade. And here comes another vehicle. Oh, cheers. Just another view of the Luangwa River. And you can see that it's a mighty river with an extensive valley floor and floodplain. It's kind of riddled with sloughs and old channels that have either been abandoned or flow during the rainy season. And there are lots and lots of hippos in this river. There's a few hippos there. Okay, more to come. You can see Mama's teats there. So this is clearly Mama. still nursing these two cubs. Okay, cheers. Here we have a common waterbuck, a male, and he is looking after his harem here of some adult females, and looks like maybe one young of the year in the back there. These are the common waterbucks. And in the back we have lots of impala out on this pan. Okay, cheers. Here in the floodplain of the Luangwa is what they are referring to as a lagoon, and you could also call this an oxbow. It's clearly an old abandoned main channel that has now kind of formed this isolated oxbow, and as you can see, still holds a lot of water even this time of year. And for you bird folks out there, might be hard to see, but that is a whole group of black-necked herons over there on that shore, and you don't see them all too often, so that's kind of a neat sight. Okay, cheers. And still at this oxbow or lagoon, and a small group of zebra undoubtedly coming in to get a drink. But again, this is pretty typical for what I'm seeing around here is these small groups of zebra. You know, in this case, looks like maybe 4 individuals, but you know, not big herds like we've seen before. Now these guys are one of the primary prey items for lions, so they're usually very tentative. And so as you can see, they are very cautious. They have actually been up on the bank above the lagoon for quite some time, just scoping it out, scanning, making sure there's no danger. And then even as they come down, they're very cautious in going to the water, because they're most vulnerable when their heads are down drinking water. They can get ambushed from the side pretty easily. But once they're pretty sure that there's no lions around, they'll come in and drink as they are now. And as you see now, sometimes they'll even keep one of the members of the group on guard. So this one member is not drinking right now, is keeping a lookout while the others drink. But I think they're relatively safe right now, because the pride of lions that we just saw, which is, I don't know, half a kilometer away, clearly have eaten recently and are fat and happy and sleeping. So these guys are probably very safe right now. Okay, cheers. It's a little ominous when the mouth is agape and he's showing off his big teeth. Guess we don't want to go for a swim in this pool. Not the least of which is because of the hippos out there that you just heard. Bye. Couple of Cape buffalo bulls sitting out on a sandy patch in the middle of this pan. And I've seen, a handful of buffalo here and there, but no large groups, certainly no big herds. If they are here, they haven't showed themselves to me yet. But I have seen these individuals or small groupings of bulls off on their own, which they will do until they're in the mood for mating. Alright, cheers. This video wouldn't be complete without having some footage of elephants. And while I haven't seen a lot of elephants here in South Luangwa, I've seen a few scattered bulls and small groups of bachelor bulls and just a couple small family groups like this one, a mom and 2 generations of her offspring, but no large family groups or large herds yet. But still always fun to see them, especially when they have little babies. Looks like Mama came over straight towards me just to check me out, to make sure I'm not a threat to her baby. And then she decided I was okay, and then turned and continued her feeding activity. Hey, little guy, keep up with Mama. Bye. Okay, this is not something you see every day in my campground. Or actually, I'm over at kind of the lodge part of the campground next to the river. I think I'm going to back off here. These guys can be very dangerous. More people get killed by hippos than any other animal in Africa. So don't want to mess with this guy. Certainly don't want to be between him and his escape route to the water, which fortunately I'm not. But I've got to grab my tablet and binoculars, which I left there, without disturbing this guy. Alright, bye. I hope I will be back. And we don't want to leave out of this smorgasbord of wildlife observations our beloved warthogs. And this is especially included for you, Sherry, since I know they're your favorite. Busy, 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 busy rooting. Cheers. There's a good example of one of these sloughs or secondary channels that is dry this time of year. And a lot of these kind of sloughs have pools of water in them, as you can see in the back there. group of zebra here. And a mommy and baby. Skylar, if you're watching, this is for you. Got a mommy and a baby zebra. Adding to this smorgasbord of wildlife observations is this very impressive kudu bull. It has the most amazing spiral horns. 3 complete spirals, looks like. It's one of the bigger ones that I've seen. And of course we don't want to leave out Mr. Longneck, although I've seen very few giraffe here at this park, really only a few. Certainly a nice one to include in the smorgasbord. This guy has a beautiful pattern. And Sister Kara, you had asked for some video of giraffes, so here we go. Okay, see ya. That's amazing, his height especially with that elongated neck. He can reach up to the canopy of that tree and eat the leaves. That's quite an adaptation. Cheers. Stop. Look both directions on the track before crossing. Very wise animal. And while I ponder crossing this track, I'll chew my cud. While I love this animal for its incredible adaptations and awkward appearance, it can be rather boring at times to watch because they will spend a long time just standing there staring, trying to decide what to do. So I think I will say goodbye. Cheers. Don't know how well you'll be able to see this because it's a fair distance. I had to zoom way in, but there is a teeny little hippo baby with its mama over there. And the mama has a bunch of this green leafy vegetation on her back. Little camouflage. But that is a teeny little baby. Not so little baby. And the rest of the gang is staying cool in the pool. Another little baby in there too, right in the front. Okay, cheers. Okay, yes, it's true that these guys are on my shit list for being a nuisance at my campsite. But I suppose in fairness, that was the Chakma baboon who destroyed my vehicle back in Botswana, and these are yellow baboons, so I suppose they should be given the benefit of the doubt. But they have been a nuisance at my current campsite, just lurking around the periphery, just waiting to get into something. So I've had to be very vigilant about keeping everything inside the vehicle. But this little band is obviously foraging in this pan, busily turning over wads of mud, picking through it for seeds and insects, or other invertebrates, I suppose. But very busy and very thorough. Amazing their eyesight that they can detect little seeds and insects so quickly as they're rummaging through the soil. Okay, bye. A herd of common waterbuck. Bedded down in this pan. A young one there on the ground. Okay, cheers. Check out the tusks on this female. They're not super thick, but man, they're really long and curved. And I don't even think she's that old. She's still nursing right now. Anyways, I thought those were some impressive tusks. Cheers. Here's a small group of female puku, which are mid-size antelope that are very strongly tied to rivers, wetlands, floodplains. They don't usually stray too far from the water. They're kind of a nondescript deer-like antelope. We have some vervet monkeys that are foraging here on the flats, turning over wads of dirt, looking for insects, seeds, pretty much anything. Cheers. Well, this is something you don't see too often. I have seen it before. But elephant lying down on the ground, sleeping. Looks like just a big rock from here. But trust me, that is a big elephant who's laying down on the ground sleeping. Tempted to try to get a little closer, but I'd hate to rouse this guy from his sleep and surprise him. Could get very aggressive. Anyways, kind of interesting. Bye. Here's a nice example of some of the floodplain forest of the Luangwa River. and what has become isolated and kind of now stagnant pool of water. You can see it's currently has a bunch of green algae growing in it, but the valley floor, the floodplain here, is kind of riddled with these abandoned channels, oxbows, sloughs, many of which still have pools of water like this in them. Okay, cheers. Here's a saddle-bill stork in one of these abandoned side channels or sloughs. There he goes. And our saddle-bill stork has been joined by a hammercop, that small brown bird on the ground. And the hammercop is a very cool bird because they build massive, massive nests in the trees, you know, on the order of 10 feet across, 10 feet deep, with a cavity on the inside for their nesting. And hopefully we'll come across a hammercop nest that I'll show you. But this is the beautiful saddle-bill stork. And you can see why it gets its name, because it has that black band in the middle of its red bill, making it look like a saddle. Cheers. Okay, this is the best I could do so far for finding a hammercop nest. And you can see this is a big wad of vegetation and earth, kind of all stacked together in the crotch of this tree. This is a relatively small one though, maybe 5 feet across and 3 feet deep. So again, they can get a lot bigger than this, 2-3 times this size easily. Hopefully I'll find a bigger one. Okay, again, this is the hammercop nest, this wetland bird, basically. Alright, bye. This is a fitting way to end my video of my wildlife observations at South Luangwa. I am sitting in my campsite in my chair right now, and look who has come to pay a visit. And he's actually not alone. He's got a couple buddies behind him. Now I understand why they elevate the pool and put it inside a big concrete platform so that the elephants can't destroy it or get in there and drink the water and mess up the water. So not only do you have to watch out for grazing hippos, but you have to watch out for grazing ellies as well as you move through this campsite lodge area. Whew. I think I smelled that all the way over here. Whoo-hoo-wee. There's some global warming in action right there with that methane release. Alright, I think that'll do it. Cheers.